Hey guys, what's going on? Excoundrel here. We're going to get straight into game. Of course, thanks to G2A for sponsoring the channel. There is a reference link in the description below. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the game that you might have seen on my shorts yesterday. I have started uploading a couple of plays from my YouTube shorts. If you want to follow it, make sure you give me a sub. And essentially, I'm turning into a bit of a Thresh One-Trick. So I wanted to, in this video, talk a little bit about what I did in this game to A, get us into that position where we were able to get those kills very early on, and B, just how you approach the game as a Thresh in general. Now, in most cases, you will want to take your Flay, your third ability, as your first point. And that is because it gives you an empowered basic attack, and if you watch here, we deal a ton of damage to the Jinx very early on. A lot of people still not super comfortable playing against the Thresh and don't really respect what he can do at level 1 with Flay. And really just off the back of that very, very solid Flay damage that we had, we were able to pick up the first kill. Now, to be honest with you, the Jinx kind of inted it. If I'm completely honest, the Jinx massively inted it. But, you know, we capitalize on that, and getting a kill this early on is great. Now, I take a couple of tower shots here, but I hook the Rakan into another phosphorus bomb, but do not follow up. Obviously, I do not follow up here because I would have just ended up dying. Now, the Jinx turns back up. We have to flash away from the Fizz, but another Flay brings him back into the play. Now, I'm going to pick up a couple of the honey fruit here, but I'm going to lend that shield over to Corki, and I flash because of the Jinx W. The zap. I think, fortunately, the zap actually ended up hitting a minion, but I flashed because I wanted to body block between myself and the Corki, and I wasn't quite sure if that minion was going to body block the zap. And now we have a 4-kill Corki. Now, of course, when you kill this many people in lane, you are going to want to shove the lane in. So this is what we're doing right now. You might be thinking, oh my god, they're on like 2 HP. But we're doing it because we're shoving the lane in to that first tier tower to try and deny as many minions from the Jinx and the Rakan as possible. And you'll see that Jinx probably lost 2 to 3 minions there, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a big deal. But to be honest with you, it is incredibly difficult to consistently deny minions in wildrift because of how quickly you're able to get from the tower to your lane in the early game. But denying anything is always a bit of a win because it can help you hit certain certain level thresholds a little bit more readily. Now, I see a bit of a crazy scrap going on the bottom side of the map here. I'm obviously waiting around because I'm going to throw this lantern out for Corki, and then I'm going to walk straight back into the lane. You need to stay in that small circle to make sure that you're able to get away with it. But of course, as you see here, I get Corki in. We force a bit of an defensive push away from the Rakan. We don't really get anything huge out of it at the end of the day, but it's just one of those plays that you're going to want to make either with the jungler or with your AD carry. Just have that lantern and pull them right in. You know, you bait them in and you pull them right into the fight. Now, Corki right now has got Essence Reaver, so you know we've got a 2-minute Essence Reaver this game, which is realistically going to be very difficult for the enemy to deal with. We also have a Redemption, which is going to give us a huge amount of dueling potential as well as sustaining the lane, and we're just generally ahead in levels as well. Now, I land a great hook. This is one that I am going to follow up on, flay them directly into the box, and use the Redemption to ensure that I don't die on the way out as well. I don't think I actually got healed by it, but nonetheless. And that was an opportunity to follow up on the hook, and then Fizz just missed the Fizz just missed the jump over the wall. That was an opportunity to follow up on the hook because it was a relative no-brainer. We've got an Essence Reaver Corki. Of course, he's going to be able to burst out the Jinx. And again, once more, we push that minion wave to tower because it is important to deny minions from the enemy whenever possible. If there's one thing that you take away from this game, never mind some of the plays that we're making, the aggressive plays that we're making, it is take away the fact that if you ever kill your opponent in lane or you force them back to base, if safe to do so, and it was definitely safe because we just saw the jungler die, push that minion wave into their tower, just to allow you to deny minions and experience, but also to potentially stop, allow you to find resets. Now again, using that lantern trick to drag the Corki straight into the fight, and we get the Jinx again. At this point, you know, if we land a hook or even just a flay, clearly the Jinx is going to straight up die, and you can see that, and again, we are just following that protocol of when the Jinx is going down, look to be as aggressive as possible and push that wave in wherever we can. So we're going to take an aggressive position now. We're going to be looking to take this tower down, and if Rakan sticks around, we're going to try and lantern Corki in and force another fight here. So Corki's going to take down the tower. Going to lantern him in. He went very aggressive here with the Fizz coming in as well. But luckily, we flay the Fizz, pull him in on top of the Redemption. He ends up going down to a basic attack, and then Jinx ends up going down as well. So we played that fight around Fizz super nicely. The only reason we're kind of getting away with this is because we're so unbelievably strong. Again, I'm trying to get past the Malphite here and lantern in to get the Rakan, who's able to dive away. the Malphite does go in on me. I pull him and then immediately flash. And why did I do that? No, I was really sad that we didn't kill the Malphite there, but why did I do that? Essentially, I stunned him with the hook and then immediately wanted to try and deny vision so that he could not land a seismic shard on me or just get an easy kill. I'm maxing Lantern, which actually gives me a pretty significant shield to work with here, and then I'm going to drag the Corki back over the wall, and the Fizz goes down again to the red buff. So you can see a good set of plays that have been honestly really productive for myself and the Corki from the laning phase, just going as aggressive as possible. Now, I really like Deadman's play on Thresh. I just like it to be able to walk up to people and flay them. There isn't really any other good reason to have Deadman's play. It's just to be able to get, get around the map a bit more quickly, walk up and flay people like this, or even just land that slow. I dodge out the Rakan here and drag in the Rengar, but don't manage to land the hook. You don't have to land every hook on Thresh ever. The sign of a good Thresh is landing the hooks that count. Or even just, managing your flay and managing the laning phase properly. Like, one of the biggest things that I can recommend low elo Thresh players is make sure you're basic attacking. You're technically a ranged support. Like, yes, your range is not as long as some of the other range supports in the meta, but you're technically a ranged support. So you do want to be basic attacking as much as physically possible, because it is a really good way to win trades consistently in lane. So right now, I'm trying to be a bit more defensive. Like, there are two modes to Thresh. Like, the way you've got to think about Thresh is you've got to read the situation that you're in. You're either going to be playing defensive Thresh, where you're just throwing your Lantern out and you're supplementing and supporting an aggressive AD carry to try and drag them out of danger when they get into a rough position, or you're going to be playing aggressive Thresh, looking for those hooks. Now, I walk straight into this Fizz. Luckily, I have quite a lot of shielding at this point in time, and I decided to just kind of stick with the fight. The unfortunate thing is that actually, without Corki, my team doesn't actually have much damage. You can see here that I'm going pretty aggressive, but actually the Twisted Fate really isn't doing anything, and we do lose a lot on the map right now because Twisted Fate, and really just honestly the rest of the map, is just nowhere near as fed as Corki. And so I overestimated how strong my team was, because realistically the majority of these kills are sitting, and the majority of the gold is sitting on the Corki right now, which, as you can see here, Corki's basically walking into 1v5 because he's just that strong at this point in time. But yeah, overall, just need to be a little aware. This is something that you guys might want to be cautious of whenever you're in a lane that's really fed. You've got to remember that if you're really fed, you are pretty much your entire team's damaged. You just have to be very careful about how you approach things. But you can see here, Corki 1v5s and gets two kills anyway, so we're perfectly fine. So now, for me, like, a big thing is going to be sticking with Corki as much as possible. Like, this guy, is Joey Skaggs, by the way. That's why he's playing really well. Guys might know Joey Skaggs. I've played with him quite a few times. I'll actually link his Twitch channel down in the description below. He doesn't stream that consistently, but he is a really good AD carry player. So you just got to remember that I've got to be sticking around Joey and just trying to make sure that I am, keeping him at the forefront of my strategy around the game. Now, unfortunately, we again go a little bit over aggressive. Fizz, they're kind of grouping up as a 5, and that's one thing that I was saying in the chat in this game, is that they're grouping up as a 5 now, and we're kind of losing out because they're grouping up as a 5. We're walking in one by one, and this is something that, even for me, like, I was making these plays and I wasn't really paying attention to where the enemy was. I don't know why this Twisted Fate didn't just... Oh, he did actually get the kill there. I don't know why he decides to walk back in versus the Lucian, though. I was facilitating these plays. I was trying to make these plays happen when realistically we didn't really have the vision or the knowledge to do so. So, there's going to be a learning point for me. It's just, make sure you're playing around the strongest member on your team. Like, you have to be playing around the guy who's got all the gold. And for this particular game, it's all about protecting the Corki. So, on reflection, just from these couple of plays that we've had over the last couple of minutes, the 2 deaths that I have in this game, I should be looking to mirror Corki as much as possible. Yes, okay, I'll do my general support duties, which is just going around clearing vision. But for the most part, you've got to be looking to play around the Corki and just look to sort of facilitate him as the carry here. Which might involve just sitting around looking for good Lantern locations to ensure that Corki doesn't get, caught out. In this particular circumstance, he's got the package. He could very easily just go and package in, and I could just offer the Lantern as an opportunity to get out of the fight as well. So we get another kill, easy enough. I don't flash over the wall here because I don't have flash. There isn't really any other good ways to get back into the fight other than just walking around. Of course, always looking for good redemption opportunities, which is right on where the enemy team is fighting. And you can see here we get at least one kill off the back of it. Lantern to provide a shield over to the Darius. And we're actually in a relatively good spot. And this point as well, it's all about big global objectives. I have no idea what the Rakan thought he was doing. It's all about big global objectives as well. Now, I unfortunately missed the box there. I actually thought Lucian had used his dash recently. Unfortunately, Lucian had not used his dash recently and just dashed straight out of my box, which meant that it looked a bit silly. But nonetheless, we're still in a really strong spot, so it doesn't really matter. And we have Shelly. We just dropped the Rift Herald in the mid lane, which is going to allow us to potentially push onto this mid lane tier 1. We flay the Fizz after he uses his Playful Trickster. We hook the Malphite in here as well, which we do follow up on, which allows us to pick up a kill. We get 2 kills off the back of that little push, which is really nice. And now we also have the Rakan, which we flay back into the... We flay him back in. He's not very strong once he's used that quickness, and people have had the... He's not very strong once people have, you know, he's used the quickness and people have kind of been charmed already. And right there, I was just kind of body blocking for Jinx ultimate, so making sure the Jinx ultimate wouldn't kill the Corki. Then use Redemption a little bit too close to the Lucian, but I sort of essentially do the majority of the peeling work there, and also flay the Lucian away to ensure the Corki can escape from that scenario too. And at this point, teams kind of like running in 1vx, they're just kind of going in like crazy. But obviously the Baron would be the next point of call for our team, because that's really what you want to do. Like, you know, at this stage in the game, post 10 minutes, if you're this far ahead, you want to be setting up for Baron, trying to force the enemy to come towards you when you're this strong. Again, I want to play around Corki. I want to ensure that we're facilitating him. He should be the person that we're looking to play around the most of. Now, with all of these pickups, with all of these little wins, it is obviously a clear time to go for the Baron. There is obviously an angle where we could have pushed down an inhibitor tower, but the Baron should allow us to win the game more consistently. So going for Baron, it just secures an objective that the enemy can't take, and that means that we can then walk down with the Baron empowered minions and look for a game end relatively soon. Now everybody is backing here, so again, I'm just kind of shadowing Corki. Like, it is most important that I'm supporting the Corki in this situation, because he is just super strong, and whenever a Corki makes a move like that, you know, just looks to go aggressive. Always be ready to have the Lantern to throw out to kind of bring them back into the fight. And again, another redemption opportunity here when a tower dive is taking place. This is just a good opportunity to look for, you know, to look for an assist. Flay the Jinx back in, and we have a minion wave to work with on this bottom side of the map. So this is a relatively easy angle to push in and look for some inhibitor towers, especially as the Lucian is pushing in the side lane. We have a lot of minion waves working here. Now I have the Malphite, but I do not, sorry, I pull in the Malphite, but I don't follow up on it because the Rakan is there and the Fizz was flanking, but we get a really nice double flay, which then allows us to push on to this Nexus. And with the Lucian having not backed yet, or the Lucian having died, should be a relatively easy angle to just straight up finish the game here, even with the Malphite attempting to defend. Now, unfortunately, with the Jinx coming back into the fight, it might be a little harder, and that's why I decided to kind of like coax the Twisted Fate out, but we do have another minion wave pushing in the mid lane, which should be good enough to get this second inhibitor tower. I'm obviously searching for kind of angled hook, make it difficult. If I'm just there zoning the Jinx away, she knew that I was there, but it's the zoning the Jinx away that counts in this scenario. Now, I don't manage to land a hook here, but again, I'm mostly concerned with protecting Corki, which is what I'm doing. I'm going to put the box up. It's kind of a defensive box, just trying to stop the Corki from getting easily aggressed on. Don't manage to land another hook here, but nonetheless, the majority of the work has been done. I'm just going to push down at this top lane inhibitor tower, which should now give us 3 major sort of big objectives that are very difficult for the enemy to come back from. With these Baron empowered minions pushing in every lane, this is essentially endgame. I missed every ability on the exit here, but you know, sometimes that just happens. I think the minions end up winning the game for us, by the way, because I'm desperately trying to run away. Lantern gives vision, remember, so I can just keep an eye on where the Rakan was by having the Lantern out. And that basically puts me in an escape position, so I'm good. Looks like we're going to need one more push to win the game. I thought we won off that push, but a bit mistaken. So we're going for Randuins because it's a very crit-heavy meta, so if you're a tank, Randuin should be something that you're considering. You know, you want to reduce the effectiveness of critical strikes pretty much all round, and obviously Randuins does do that, so important to have Randuins as an option if you are a tank player in this meta, because of how prevalent critical strikes are in general. So when we have this many superpower, you know, super minions pushing in, just, you know, we should really just be, I think Fizz is trolling, actually. Yeah, I think it got to the point in the game where they were just like, yeah, we've lost, we've got no inhibitors, so we don't really care. And Fizz is just essentially trolling a little bit. So was I, though, to be fair. Once I realized that my team were kind of going for the kill on Fizz, I decided to play a little bit more seriously. And we end up going for a box on top of the Rakan. And then the Lucian ends up going down as well, which gives us a full ace and allows us to push in the game and win. So really kind of just capitalizing off that early laning phase, which was able to catapult the game in our favor. 4-2-21. Really good score at the end on the Thresh. Pretty happy with that overall, actually. Yeah.